Good evening. I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. Thank you for joining us. Those of you who are joining us for the first time, thank you very much. Tonight, I have another daughter of our soil, Karen Gray, as our guest. But before I introduce you to Karen, I want to reiterate how important it is. And tonight, you're probably going to hear some discussion on that. How important it is for us to cooperate, to adapt a sense of community. I say this because CWS, as I mentioned last night, is an evolutionary process. I could not have gotten here without some very close friends. I call them friends of CWS. A good friend of mine says not just friends of Selwyn, but friends of CWS, who are there to constantly remind me of my responsibility, constantly urging me on. And I'm human, so there are times when I feel maybe I shouldn't go on a particular week, which is very rare. But I have a particular friend who is there to make sure that I am on even keel. And I urge anyone, if you don't have such close friends who can be honest with you, who can be authentic with you, and remind you of who you are when you doubt yourself, you are wasting time. I always believe that it is important to have two people in your life, two very special people, for balance. One, someone who looks up to you and will listen to you regardless of what, and act upon what you say. And someone who you will look up to, someone who, if they say stop, no matter how angry you are, you will stop. That to me is balance. If you are going to be a leader, you must know how to serve, and you must be able to serve with grace. So, we have a packed show tonight, and I'll take a break and introduce you formally to. We are back. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. The lovely lady next to me is my host, my guest for the night, Karen Gray. Karen, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
I want to start with just a snippet of your bio. Karen Gray attended and graduated from St. Rose's, graduated from Brooklyn College with a BS in Computer and Information Science, and went on to do Cisco Engineering. Worked in many Wall Street investment houses like DTC, Citigroup, Deutsche, Morgan Stanley, both on the technology and investment side. She was taught the investment side as she was finishing college and was prepped to take on that role while developing small IT projects. Later, she left the investment banking world and ventured into entertainment, working for two major record labels as the head of IT for North America before starting out in real estate. The world of entertainment opens your mind to so much as the people you meet have come from so many paths in life. I would not change, this is her quote, I would not change my experiences because they've all made me who I am. Karen.
Hey.
It always gives me great pleasure to meet people who are out there doing amazing things and touching other people's lives. And so I feel honored to be able to converse with them and share with our audience their fascinating journeys. Hopefully, we can learn and be inspired by some of what they have to say. Karen Gray, my guest this evening, is one of those people. and a personal friend of mine. I know her to be someone with strong work ethics, who believes in herself, is self motivated, and has a passion for life and living to her fullest. Karen, welcome to CWS.
Thank you. I'm home.
I understand that you live by the motto, if I have touched one person's life, then my living has not been in vain. Please tell us what that motto means to you.
It means a lot to me because very often we people wander around this world and don't know who they are and don't know their purpose. If I can touch someone, have a conversation, a 5 minute conversation, a 10 minute conversation, or just be around them for a time of their life and make an impact, then I feel that that's one of my purposes that is so important on this earth because I've had some people who have come towards me and voluntarily embraced me. I think the best I can do is give back some of what I've been given.
Um, so in that I ask, how would you say this motto aligns with who Karen Gray is as a humanitarian?
Very much,
Hmm.
very much. Because I know I'm very compassionate.
Uh-huh.
I care a lot about people, and if I feel that they can really benefit from something I can do for them, I'll go the extra mile.
What is your fondest memory of your parents as a child?
Oh my goodness. Um, Lots. I lost my dad when I was 13, and that was startling because it happened so fast. But I have lots of great memories of him. He worked at sea and spending Easter at sea with my mother, making buns and all the little goodies and sending us out to sea with a mate to meet him wherever, going up the Essequibo River or wherever he was taking us, Porica. So those are great memories I've had of being out with my dad and times when he would come home from sea and say, get her dressed. And I would get dressed and then he's showing everybody, oh, this is my youngest, this is my daughter. And because I played the piano, classical piano player since I was 3.
Wow.
Um, it would always be, oh, she's having a recital coming up. She's playing here, she's playing there. So, you know,
When
that
last
was
you
his
played?
life thing. I haven't played in a while, but I never forget because every time I go near the instrument,
Uh-huh.
my hands get on.
Well, you have to indulge me one of these evenings.
Yes.
Who are the most important people in your life?
First, my mom,
Hmm.
because losing my dad that early, I learned so much from her. I watched a strong woman develop. This is a housewife who never went to high school.
Hmm.
And here she is left to raise this kid because the rest were grown. And, the gap between me and the others is huge. And I learned so much from that woman. She's very important to me. And there are other people. I've had some great lecturers at Brooklyn College. Mario Maranovsky, Professor Ian Spatz, who would come to me and say, stay back after class. I see you're so good in maths. I want to offer you the chance to get a scholarship in actuarial. If you want, I'll sign the forms for you. Mario Maranovsky teaching us very ethereal parts of computer and information science, which was confusing the class with no books. And he says, here's my home number. You guys can call and ask questions. Here's my job number. I'm going to tell my secretary. And me calling and asking him questions over and over. And he says, are you sure? You're okay? I mean, people of that nature, when they take the time to really nurture my interests and things of that, I really, really appreciate it. So I have so many people that have been mentors to me for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, days, weeks, months, years.
Wow.
All those people help me.
What is one quote, or as we say in Guyana, saying from your mother, do you remember and incorporate in your life?
One does build down.
Oh. I like
Very
that.
much so.
Yes, you believe in that.
Yes.
Is there a particular experience from your parents that shapes your life today?
Um, I think the particular experience, it's my mom, comes from my mom, because she got very involved in doing so many things, and I became her date because my dad was not the person who is the go out person and the drink, but she liked to socialize. So it's come home from school, you better do your homework and get a nap if you want to go out with me. And she taught me things like, you can't sit in the house and learn like that. You have to go out and meet people. You have to learn. She says, you go to get a job, people want to know who you know. And these are the conversations she would have with me as we're walking to wherever we're going. She would say, you must learn to drink a drink or two. And if you don't want to drink, you should say to your friends you don't want to drink. There's nothing wrong with saying that. She says, but if you want to have a drink, you could have a drink. You don't have to get drunk. You learn moderation. You learn control. But also learn to have conversations with people. And she would do that with me when we go to cocktail parties. She would say, you go left, I go right. Pick up a drink at the bar. And I'm talking about a kid. And she says, meet me back in 15 minutes and tell me who you met and what you spoke about.
Your mom did that.
Yes.
Wow. You graduated from Brooklyn College with a BS in Computer Information Science and went on to do Cisco Engineering. You are now in real estate. We'll get to that. What did you discover about yourself during your journey in IT?
That I was a riot.
You want to explain that?
Because, going to college, they're teaching you all these languages. And there I am looking through the New York Times classified. And I can't see any of these languages people asking for jobs. So I started coming to school with the classified ads. And going to the professors and going like, why don't I know that? This is what they want. I want a job when I leave here. I don't want to be, not worth it just with a bachelor's. And, everybody thought I was a little bit off the wall. But I knew what I was talking about because for me it was important to transition from college because I was paying my way through. I had enough student loans. I wanted to be able to pay them back. And so I would ask these questions, and what it taught me about is that my pestering and my search for what is important for me to identify where I'm going to be when I come out of school was important because Professor Maranovsky showed me that because he worked in the defense industry. So when he came in and started teaching that particular class, my whole world went, oh, really? There is some reality in this instead of just languages that they teach you. So it showed me that just me fighting, just and asking those questions and being annoying was important because I got something out of it. And this is where my eventual split off into network engineering led me.
What can you tell us about your first introduction to computer science?
Oh, I was lost. Seriously lost. I don't know what did we do. I was there because I started out pre-med. Yeah, because I wanted to be a pediatrician gynecologist.
So what led to this switch?
It's called cash.
Cash.
It's hard to go to school and study, especially biology, chemistry, physics, and you don't have money. You're competing because you want to be at the top of your class because you're going to get into med school. You don't want to have financial worries and how am I paying the rent and how am I doing this because I was doing this for myself. So I had to figure out what I was going to do, and that's what I did.
Quote, I'm quoting here, people near and dear to me, especially women and children, I dream of uplifting and empowering while protecting these two groups. Please tell us why this is so important to you.
Okay. In order to regenerate a nation, a group, a community, a street, a block, a house, you have to have birth. That birth comes from someone. That person is a woman. I'm not saying men are not essential.
Right.
But women are where that birth is going to come from. And that offspring is the newness of life. Because every generation changes something. And to me, if you don't nurture them, they're lost. And what it does, it pulls you back not one generation. It pulls you back 4 or 5 generations. And I think women are so important because if a woman cannot take care of herself, she can't take care of the kids. And that's destruction of a society and a community. So for me, it's important. I want to be able to show women their value, empower them to work alongside their men, and also to give their children that openness to grow. Because I think that's essential, especially as a woman of color. I realize that we sometimes think too narrow, and that impedes our growth, progress, and wealth in this accumulation of wealth and everything else in this world. We need to expand our horizons, and until we start to grow that part of our society efficiently, we're going to lag behind the general population.
What I practice, and this is you again, and constantly say to myself, dream big and in color. It is not that you fell down, just don't stay down. Take the lesson and rise again. End of quote. Is this your favorite quote or mantra? And what can you tell us about how you live this principle?
Oh boy, fall down. I have bruises. I'm a battle warrior here. When you are put in a position where you have to fend for yourself with no guidance, you're going to fall down. If you stay down, you're dead. That resilience builds as you learn those lessons. I mean, what can you do? You're going to cry for the moment. But I always ask myself when things happen to me, what was the lesson? What can I do with it? I'm going to try again from a different direction. Because it's important that I have faith in myself and never give up. And that is so important every day of my life. Because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not perfect. So when I stump my toe, I'll yell and cry. But you know what? I'm going to try again. You can't stop me like that.
Give us the three most valuable lessons you learned while working on Wall Street.
Stand up for yourself. If you don't understand something, don't sign it. Ask. Let somebody break it down. I don't care how the people think you're stupid. Ask. There's some things worth fighting for, and there's some things just walk. That's it.
Very good advice. You left the investment banking world and went into the entertainment industry. What is it about that industry, the entertainment industry, that attracted you? You're smiling. It seems as though you have some stories to tell.
Well, my sisters would tell you that when I was small, I could never sit. I'm always doing cartwheels. I wanted to be a dancer.
Oh, really?
I was always Karen, sit down and put your clothes, just pull your dress down. Can't stop. So it was fun. I thought it would be a good adventure. I love music a lot. It doesn't matter what type. I used to be in the school of dance.
So you did. You did.
Yes. And all those things came together because I love to dance. You could go out to a party, you guys could stand over there and talk and get drunk. I don't do that. I head for the dance floor. That was good for me. I met lots of great people. Opened my mind so much. It's an experience. You can be out all night, out all day. You can come to work and work hard, and go out at night and play just as hard. I had the chance to meet so many people: Usher, Deborah Cox, Les Nubians, Faith Evans. Ooh, gosh.
What do you find common about meeting, people who have supposedly made it in the entertainment industry that would surprise most people?
They're normal, just like all of us.
Mm.
The most important thing that you're going to realize is that they're not very trusting. Because people come to you for what? You
Money.
don't know how genuine they are.
Right.
And that's the hardest part of the entertainment industry. But they're genuine people. I mean, they have the same thoughts we have, the same worries. Um, I remember Toots and the Maytals. Toots from Toots and the Maytals. He'd come by my office and he'd go, "Chinese girl," and the way he chat. But when he gets out to perform,
Mm-hmm.
he is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that persona, the performance persona,
Yes.
and then that person.
Something like Michael Jackson.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's shift gears a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your topic of your ad was about women in business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I start with this. What are some of the talents you believe women bring to the business world?
One of the things I think is important is not being rash in our judgment. Nurturing spirit. Listening. We have the ability to empower others and open up paths to their dreams. I mean, because we deal with people differently. We talk to them, and I know we're a lot more emotional, but we have a way of communicating with people that can be as warm as possible. I'm going to clarify this by saying not all women. I'm just going to go there, I mean, because some of us are different, and I have to acknowledge that part. But we have great listening skills. We have the ability to work together, to collaborate when we drop all the airs and graces. And I think the workforce really needs that, because many times younger people will come into the workforce and get turned off because they feel there's no one showing them the way.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one listening to their desires of where they're looking to go. No one really looking at their talents and really trying to groom them. But in order for you to really command an office and deal with people, you have to reach out to certain aspects of their innate personality to get them to be able to work with you effectively. And I think women have that ability if we only use it.
Can you tell us 3 women you admire and respect today, and why?
Sure, I admire Mrs. Obama.
Mm-hmm.
She has a quiet, loud style
Mm-hmm.
that you get the message from her body language, from the way she communicates, and the way she's grooming her kids. I like Oprah Winfrey. I like her strength, the resilience she showed in getting to where she is. The other fact is that people were quick to call her not pretty, but that her success silenced everyone. And another person that I really like is Toni Morrison. I love her books. The Bluest Eye, that book got me. It's one of my favorite books. And if you can convey, because she conveyed certain things as a woman of color in that book, that some of which I experienced, that just blew my mind. And those are three women that I really do like quite a bit.
If you had all the resources you need,
Mm-hmm.
what would you do with some of your money?
I'd like to start a foundation.
What kind of foundation?
A foundation with women and kids, where I can. I'd like to build a school compound for the kids, and really be able to use their talents. Move away from this doctor, nurse, teacher thing. I'm not so into that, because I believe that not everybody is geared for that. But I like to give them that chance to use their minds effectively.
Yes.
And I also like to have the other part of showing women to develop their skills and own their own businesses.
Again, women and business. I want to shift back a little bit into your timeline. I just got to ask this. You mentioned how you couldn't sit still and you did a lot of cartwheels. Well, what sports excited you while in high school?
Oh, track and field.
Yeah? Did you run a lot?
Yeah, I hurdled.
Hurdle?
I ran 100-meter dash. I did relays. I hurdled. I high jump.
So you heard the phrase "Go Karen, go" a lot. Or Karen, why are you running away from me?
And played netball.
Okay.
Yeah, I even played against the guys when they came to Roses.
Oh, really? What do you're smiling, you're giggling. What you had some interesting experiences?
That's why I said I'm just too much energy.
From our conversations, Karen, I understand that you're an avid reader. I even tonight you showed me a book. What are some books that are in your library that you believe every woman should read?
The Bluest Eye.
Uh-huh.
I also feel that good meditative books by people like Deepak Chopra. I like things like by John Maxwell. Some of his books. I also feel things like the nine insights. Because for me, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, the mind is the most important thing on your body. If you can use your mind, you can navigate just about anything. So I am very big on the mind. And I feel that if you can control your mind, more than anything, you don't need to control anybody.
Very true.
And to me, that's the key. And I think everybody's looking for out of control. Oh yes, I'm gonna control that. And yeah, these people need to sit. Who cares? If you have control of yourself first, you don't need that. They'll know that because the way you communicate with people, you will come across in such a different way. You don't need to control anybody.
Very true. How do you prepare yourself daily? I mean, let's go there. How do you prepare yourself daily to deal with, everyday challenges? How do you discipline your mind?
It's important to me to spend some time in prayer.
In prayer.
I've started a journal, and I do a lot of meditation when I have to do minimum 10 minutes, on a busy day. But I like reading something that keeps me quiet. I do a lot of quiet time. Whether I'm driving or I'm at home working, I spend a lot of quiet time, because to me that gives me a chance to think, because there's so many distractions, there's so much noise, that for me is so important.
So you still the mind a lot.
A lot.
And does this work for you?
Sure, otherwise I wouldn't be able to deal with some things that come my way.
What do you say to people who have a hard time with meditating or not sure how they should meditate? Give us some tips.
Little things you can start. I would say the good part right now, Oprah and Deepak Chopra have been teaming up and doing 21-day meditation classes online. Start with simple things like that. I mean, okay, I may have had an advantage because I grew up with my mom in unity.
Okay.
I mean, that's something I've known from Yay High. Doing prosperity classes, abundance. Right now, I'm doing an abundance class myself, and things of that nature. So I have had that in me. So that's nothing. But I say do simple things. Start small. Even the Buddhist centers in New York have meditation classes. There's one coming up with Sri Chamoy. Down on Essex Street, I may go to that. I mean, just little, there's a lot that you can find if you really want to try. There's Transcendental Meditation Center as well. There's so much that you can do.
When did you realize that you wanted to become a real estate broker?
Okay, I got disgusted. I was asking a couple of them, oh, various questions or things I was interested in. And everybody's looking at me like if I'm mad. They couldn't answer my questions like, what do you want to know that for? And I'm going like, okay, hold up. What am I asking you? Why don't I go do it myself?
That's it?
And I just started researching it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this.
What surprised you the most about real estate?
How little most people know.
So, in that I asked, well, what advice would you give young people who want to get into real estate?
Like any other profession, like when I did IT, don't just tell me that an RJ47 cable or whatever is whatever. Okay, but it has colors in the cable, right? Red, green, blue. What are we doing? One is talking, one is talking this, one is it. You understand why you have that plug. If you're going to do anything, understand why you're doing it. Don't just do it because, oh, well, Joan, who trained me, showed me to do it. Understand. The first thing you need to do when you wake up in the morning is look at your financial news.
First thing.
First thing. Because remember, while you were asleep, 8 o'clock at night before I left Morgan Stanley, before I could leave, I had to make sure Tokyo was on. Okay? So, because if Tokyo was not on, I wasn't leaving work. That means they're up working. The market works on news. Real estate is finance. It's going to move on news. Jobs, housing starts, mortgage news. What is Bank of America doing? What is Wells Fargo? Are we having construction? Is the lumber industry? Understand. Don't just push a house. Everybody could push a house. But understand. Because when you understand, your craft becomes easier to do. And then you understand, well, the prices just went up for interest rates. I wonder what affected it. Don't just say, well, the interest rates just went up and that's it.
Last question before we take a break. Do you have a mentor in real estate?
Right now, no. Right now, I don't. But I'm sure that I'm going to find somebody who is going to really pull some things out of my mind and really make me think a little bit different. But sometimes you get these lapses where, you have a space.
arrowhead. I love my golden arrowhead. I don't think you heard me. I said arrowhead.
We are back with the lovely Karen Gray. Karen, why do you believe women should be interested in owning and operating their own business?
In general, I feel even more than women. I think just about in our community, we need to learn that because if we're going to bring wealth for future generations, the only way you can build wealth is with your own. A job is just a job. So I don't care if you have a job and then you have something else going on the side. You just have to do it because that's empowering yourself for the future. You have to have a legacy. Because if you have children born and they have to come back and do the same thing you did, oh, and then I have to feed my mom because she doesn't have money, and then their children come and do that, we're not moving forward.
Karen, two qualities I admire about you is your tenacity for sharing information with others and helping people. Why is sharing information such a passion for you?
Something that I learned from Deepak Chopra. If you love something, share it. It multiplies and comes right back to you.
I like that. I like that. How do you think your exposure to the investment banking world and the music industry prepared you for real estate?
The way I communicate with people.
Uh-huh.
I've been exposed extensively from dance and entertainment to the lesbian gay community, and I totally embrace them because I see them as people who are worthy of life, living. They're very industrious. And so that really, I'm really don't care. So it really opened my mind. It also, I think those two industries showed me that if you do something steadily, you can accomplish a goal. Just last night on The Voice, there was the guy that came back. I remember when he got rejected last year. And he came back, and 4 chairs turned around.
What does that say to you about persistence?
Never give up. And just the other day, me and Valence were talking about this man who is a multimillionaire, and he simply back in 1980 bought a share of Warren Buffett stock, Berkshire Hathaway, the preferred. And he just kept dollar cost averaging. By whenever he had money, he'd buy a share. I think at the time when he bought it, it must have been $150, I think, or less. And he just continued to buy a couple. Now, I think that stock is about $300,000 a share.
How much? How much?
300. I think it's 300. Valence will correct me if I'm wrong. But just dollar cost averaging over those years, look at what it did. Steadily, even if he bought 2 and 4 and 5, and those things I learned in investment banking. So what I used to do is do dividend reinvestment programs. So if I bought Coca-Cola and I bought 5 shares, I'd leave it in there and then let it go do what it's doing. And then another time I'm going to buy another 5 and just keep doing that.
So you invested your dividends?
So that's what I would do, yeah. And then you'll get a stock split You'll get all sorts of stuff happening. I mean, instant gratification is just what it is. Instant gratification, that moment is past and gone. But if you want long term building of something to hold on to, which you can utilize later, you've got to have the patience and the wherewithal to do it. And I think those two industries taught me persistence and never give up.
You know, so how important is confidence in doing business?
Extremely. If you don't have confidence, you're not doing anything. You're not even opening your front door to go outside.
You mentioned Valens just now. He was here last night, and a mutual friend of ours. And our audience were like up in arms, some of them, that we had to cut short the program because when Valens got into investment,
Right.
you know, the tide just changed and everybody was like, you know, glued. I told him to come back and we'll talk specifically about investment because I think our community needs that, our audience. What do you think from your interaction with him? Do you think Valens can bring to our community in added value in terms of investment and his wide array of knowledge about these things?
He can bring education, awareness that we have to do more than the savings account. We have to do more. We have to stop listening to the street corner lawyers, as I call them. The Flatbush Avenue, Utica, and Church Avenue lawyers. I'm sorry. They mislead so many of us. I see it in the real estate industry. I think it can build camaraderie, because in order for our community to grow, we have to learn to collaborate. Look at the animals in the jungle. They collaborate. Why can't we? We have to, or else we're doomed. We will always be in that spot. If you look at it, look at the income of the Asian society. I belong to the Asian Real Estate Association, and so I'm inside seeing a lot of stuff. Look at their income level. 1 in 10 Asians own their own business.
1 in 10.
1 in 10.
And how many for Caribbean? Where's the statistics?
Okay.
All right.
So I mean, they even have we even had a lobby in Washington looking out for Asian and Pan-Asian housing. It's constantly working in your community to build it. We have to learn to do that. So I think him coming and talking to people, it can put a light bulb in their heads.
I believe so. I really do. And especially our young people. I really do believe that.
Yeah.
So Valens in November, the end of November, he's going to be back on.
Okay.
I've just shifted the chat room. Faye said, if you have a fourth woman as your favorite, who would she be?
Interesting. I do like some of what the lady at Facebook who wrote the book Lean In.
Lean In.
I like some of what she promotes. I think it's very good for our women to understand who they are. I like some of that. Yeah.
Okay. With all the evidence of successful businesswomen and the great strides women have made in corporate America, what would you say to those who say that women are not confident enough and are just too emotional to be great at business?
Garbage. Straight up garbage, because that is just an intimidation factor. Who runs the household? Hello. She runs that household. I mean, my dad worked at sea and my mom was home, and there are 9 of us. Who runs that budget?
Mom.
Okay.
I know. I witnessed that.
So what's that about? I mean, I just think it's people who don't feel good about themselves spreading propaganda. What I think women need to do is encourage. My mom did that with me a whole lot. My mother and father encourage you. I mean, it was like, if somebody told me something about the color of my skin or whatever, people tell you stuff, and I come running crying, and she goes, "What's the story right now?" And she tells me, she says, "Stand on your two legs, look at me dead in the eye." Because my mother is lighter, and my father is dark. And she says, "You know who your mother is?" "Yes." "You know who your father is?" "Where are your parents? They're stupid. You're going to grow up, and they're going to watch you. You're smart, you're intelligent, you're good looking. No need for tears." And she hammered this in me for years. You can't tell me nothing.
How important was that?
So important, because when you come and meet other people, I remember working at a company here with somebody from Guyana who was saying, "I'm dark but." I went, "Okay, what's the but? What's your problem?" This is the ignorance that we put out there. So my whole point is parents, mentors, family members empower the girls. It would stop them from making some ugly choices, because we have a lot of sex trafficking going on, and kids gravitate to gangs and this type of stuff because they don't get the nurturing at home. So this is where the warmth, the love, the encouragement needs to be, because I'm fortunate to have had that, and I'm fortunate to have had great music teachers like Miss Hunt, and then I had Sister Hazel, and all those people who played a role in my life to make me who I am. I don't stand by myself. There are people every day, every moment in my life who add to me.
Do you believe that the playing field in real estate is level for women? Okay.
No. It's an interesting world. Just like high finance, just like investment banking. I roll up to people's homes in the segment of real estate that I do. I deal with a lot with distressed real estate. I deal a lot with I value some of the buildings sometimes for people. And it's funny to make an appointment on the phone, and I talk to the person. "Yeah, come, it's 3 o'clock. It's gonna be XYZ place you're gonna meet." And then I get there, and they go, "Huh? You're black?" "Yeah. What's the problem?" I thought, okay. And I get that from us?
Really?
Whew. It's hilarious. I turn it into a joke. I go like, "I'm sorry. Sorry to disappoint you," and I laugh at it. And then sometimes I get some other people who will say to me, "Do you know the Upper West Side?" I go like, "Really? What's to know about the Upper West Side?" This is their tests, or they put on an opera, and "Do you know Gilberto Sullivan?" "Oh yeah, the Pirates of Penzance and some others." And I get the look. So you get the testing, but you know what? In life, I think this would always happen. I turn it into a joke. It's a joke for me. You can't. I've learned, just like the book, The Four Agreements. Take nothing personally.
I like that.
Otherwise, you'll be stressed out of your mind. You'll be angry. You'll be, twisted. I don't have time for that.
Let's talk some real estate. And any particular real estate trends that you have been particularly impressed by recently?
Okay. Well, recently we've had a real shrinking in the inventory.
Why is that?
The powers that be, the banking industry, have really suppressed a lot of stuff. And that has really messed with affordable housing, because what we've had is lots of foreign money come in. Cash. As much as $900,000 cash and more. And they've been buying up a lot of real estate.
Cash?
Cash. Yes. Because they have been sitting on money. And plus, when we had Chavez in Venezuela, lots of the wealthy Venezuelans were pulling their money out of the country. So Florida, yeah, they've been buying quite a bit. The Finger Lakes and places like that, upstate New York, There've been a lot of foreign money coming in. If we look at the Aloft Hotel downtown and the other hotel on Ninth Avenue just off 42nd Street, I can't remember the name of it right now. If you go inside, there's no receptionist. It's all digital. You check yourself in. Everything is there. All those are done by young Asian investment groups.
When you say young,
These are young Asian guys and women who are getting together and pooling their money. Again, we come back to collaboration and putting these places up.
young people, average
Yes.
age.
25 to 35.
Really?
Really? Yes, because, okay, right now, there was just a panel the other day that I went to in my Asian real estate. Some of the Asians are coming over and wanting to buy homes and buildings in the names of their kids as young as 2 years old. Uh-huh. They tell you, I see my child, I can envision my child going to Columbia and NYU and whatever. So they're starting that. Okay. There's so many programs too going on, like the EB5. Are you familiar with EB5?
No, tell us about
Okay. EB5 program is anybody who is foreign that invest 500,000 or more and can hire at least 10 people in a business. They can get their green cards and their families.
that. So there's a way to purchase your green card. EB5,
EB5. Google it and you'll see.
500,000 or more. I can hire at least 10 people. What do you enjoy most about real estate, Kay?
I love seeing the flows.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing what makes a market. Just like investment banking, it shows you certain things because, okay, New York is the center for finance, insurance, and real estate. You could buy something in Dubai, but it's coming through New York. Some part of that paperwork or some part of that flow is coming through New York. So real estate is a base for just about everything to jump off of. And I really like that because there's so many aspects to real estate that people don't understand, like REITs, real estate investment trusts. These are the things you can invest in. There's so many things. Understand, if you look at the families like the Rockefellers and the Rothschild and all of them, their base is real estate. It's years, it's generations. So when you hold on to certain elements of real estate, keep it in good standing, take care of your building, you do a trust, because that's what many of them do, and that trust generates interest. I mean, what is there to worry about? Look at the Rockefeller Center. Look at there's so many things. If you look at Channel 13 and seeing the people who sponsor a lot of these programs, and it's a trust. We have got to learn, and Valence will talk about it too, because I don't want to talk about it too much because I'm not an certified investment person.
Right.
But I'm very familiar with these vehicles, and we have got to learn to get these vehicles together so that we can start building what we call intergenerational wealth. Because your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, they need that. We cannot call our shots until we have a leg to stand on. And we don't have a financial leg, a whatever leg to stand on, because we've just been going along existing. And don't wait for a Jay-Z. Don't wait for a Prince. In our own small collectives, we can do it. One of my Orthodox friends said to me this summer, he says, we were talking about various things, and he says, understand, in a society or a community, when those who have collaborate with those who don't have. Those who don't have eventually get. Put that in your brain. That is fierce. Because I deal a lot in the Orthodox community. And I watch what happens.
Say that again, Karen.
When those who have collaborate with those who don't have, those who don't have eventually get. We have got, this is another reason why I share information. If you come and say something to me, if I hold it like this, what's the benefit? But if I tell you and Sean and Denise, and then Denise might have the brilliant idea where she goes, you know, Karen, this is how we could use it. And we can all benefit from it. Isn't that better than me locking it up? We have got to stop saying, oh, I don't want to see Selwyn succeed. Oh, I don't want to see Sean succeed. He's going to get more 10 cents more than me. Is that a problem?
Yeah.
I don't have, if I see you grow, I look over and I beam with pride. Because I know I had a hand in that. And it just makes me feel, yes, you did it. And I think that's what we have got to start doing, letting go and just be that person.
You know, given our economy and the real estate market today, how do you believe is the way to go for new home buyers?
First of all, the credit criteria has really changed a whole lot. You have to have almost like 700s to qualify. I think very early in our lives we have got to start grooming kids in better financial matters, teaching them how to handle money properly. I think that is where a lot of things have got to change, because we've got to start focusing on what's important. The Nike sneakers for $200, I'm sorry. What does that do down the road? Take the funds and show them how to put it into something that can turn around for them. You may be their parent right now, but you could get sick down the road. And these kids are left to fend for themselves. Embed something in them that makes sense. I mean, all this stuff we're getting caught up in, all the things, that holds nothing. We've got to start showing them how to live a better life, how to live a life that, you know, they are proud of.
Well, what are some of the greatest challenges that come with owning your own business?
Such responsibility that, I mean, there are lots of things I didn't know. I mean, because nobody really tells you this. All the paperwork. All the, you are responsible. No matter how you twist and turn it, you're responsible. I think that is something else, and you can't defer it. Yes, you're responsible. That part is the hardest part, especially when you haven't been groomed for it.
What appeals to you in commercial real estate?
Okay. I know that people like buying these 1 and 2 family homes and telling me, but they're renting it, and you don't begin to make no type of money in real estate until after 4 units. Put that figures on papers. You bought a 2-family house and you rented 1 unit. Is that person really paying your mortgage? Are they paying the expenses? What are you walking away with? You still have to pay heating and water and all of that. It doesn't make, it's not generating that type of cash flow. You have to understand what cash flow is. At the end of paying all your expenses, your insurance, your everything, you should be having some money that you can put away in that building fund and something else on the side. Commercial real estate allows that. This is why I said anytime you have 4 units and up, you begin to come commercial.
Oh.
Yes.
So what are some things in commercial real estate that would surprise most residential real estate agents?
Um, the actually the whole calculation system,
It's
the
different.
way things, yeah, you don't do that in residential. I mean, when I'm calling another broker about commercial building, I'm going like, okay, I see you have this listed. Can you send me a workup? And the workup means he's gonna send me everything that lists all the tenants in the building. Unit one, it's a 2 bedroom, is paying $1,500, whatever, all the rents, whatever. So I'm gonna kind of see a basic. But if I want to dig deeper, I could go back and ask him. I want to see 3 years worth of work, because I have to see. First of all, I want to know what's the cap rate, what's the real value of this building, and what's the upside. When I say upside, is there anything I could repair and do in this building after I buy it to make it more valuable?
Oh.
Yeah, because if I take over a building and it needs a new boiler and the elevators need servicing and all of that, I could have some upside. Because when people you hear people get the city usually gives like 421 rebates or in taxes when you do like certain services on a commercial building. So they would abate the taxes for a few-year tax abatement. That means your taxes are lower because you put in new heat, energy saving windows. You've taken care of the elevators. You've put in a dual boiler system, both oil and gas, to conserve energy. And you have to state all of this. You have to file all these documents. So that means your taxes are lower. And you can also, what some buildings do is tack a fee on to each tenant's rent for 2-3 years to pay for those types of repairs. There's so many write downs in a commercial building tax wise.
In the chat room, Latoya M said checking in, and Sean P said we have to feed their minds. I guess they're talking about what you were saying just now about children and grabbing them when they're young. What does it mean to be a woman, more so a black woman in business today?
It means a lot, especially when I step into certain environments and I look around and I'm like the only one or the only four, and I'm going like, what's wrong with us?
Is that often?
Very often. It happened to me too in the computer world. You go to a meeting, and whether it's at Morgan Stanley or wherever, I'm going like, what's going on in this room? It's an interesting. I think we have been afraid of our own good. We have so much to give. We are smart. Stop hiding. Stop feeling inferior. Stop thinking that this person thinks they're whatever. Do you. You can shoot for the stars. Just go do it. Half the time when people are going to talk about you is because they really want to be you. And I think if we start looking at like that and progressing and just doing and stop talking ourselves out of, psyching ourselves out of that, we're going to be there. And that's, I think, is what visibility, like, again, I'm going to come back to the Oprahs and people like that in business and handling her business, a whole conglomerate she runs. Emulate. You might not have the conglomerate, but you can still practice. And I think that helps because, I mean, you meet interesting people, you learn. Don't be afraid, women. You can.
Do you have a personal mantra that carries you through turbulent times, and what is it?
This too shall pass.
I've heard my mom use that many times. What can you tell us about real estate and how we approach it as a community that does not work in our favor?
Okay. Stop having everybody tell you what to do. You go to buy a house, how do you approach it? You go to see the house, okay. Somebody tell you they did all these repairs, they did everything. And then you said, okay, I'm gonna bring an inspector. No, you don't have to bring an inspector. It good. Look at it, man. You don't need all that. Follow the yellow brick road. Bring your own inspector. Get your own mortgage person. Don't go with what people tell you. Do not buy a building with tenants if you don't know what to do. I went with this Guyanese guy over on St. John's one day. He bought the building with tenants. The tenants locked him out. We couldn't get into the building.
Locked him.
Look, I walked into the building eventually and I talked to them. They told him he needs to give them money for the lock. I was standing there going like, because invariably I have to sometimes tell the landlord, step out the building. Let me talk to them because they're so antagonistic with the landlord. And so later on I said to him, I said, what made you buy that building? My friend did tell me it's easy to get them out. I said, you so don't know New York. New York is tenant based. You could fight with that person 2 years, 4 years before you get them out. Another way we approach it, we buy a house and we figure we could rent the basement. I don't care if it's your best friend, auntie, cousin, next door neighbor. A basement is not livable space. They will move in, they'll pay you the first month's rent and not pay you again. And when you go to court, the judge will tell you, I'm sorry, it's not livable space. You should not have rented it. They will move out, but you will not get your back rent. All those things we don't understand, you have to abide by the building codes. The breaking of the sidewalks and saying I have a driveway. Really? You suddenly have a garage driveway? You just decide to break the sidewalk? That's against the law. Zoning. R5 zoning, R7 zoning, R3 zoning. They do it in particular areas. Every area of the city is zoned to have a garage, not have a garage, to have all sort of how high a building can go. Understand, do not make illegal adjustments to that building. You're gonna lose. So we need to understand a lot of those things. This is not back home. Seriously.
Let me go to the chat room because I have some very interesting. Latoya M said, totally understanding being the only black businesswoman in a room. What would you recommend to do to help change this?
We can mentor each other.
I like that. I like that. I think I'm going to encourage more of these shows on CWS because I think it's important for our community. Patrick said, good evening to you and your wonderful guest. Good evening, Patrick. And Denise W said, very informative and candid. Sean P said, stop looking for the hookup and do the research. I agree with you, Sean. Sean P said, together we can rise. DSACCB said, yep, lots of the illegal rentables in New York come to mind. And so I ask you, okay, what skills do women need to cultivate to be successful in any business, but especially real estate today?
I think in any business, be curious. You have to become a child. We so often lose our childlike curiosity. When you lose that, there's something that's missing because you're not going forward properly. Keep that playfulness of a child. Computerization teaches you that. Most people who discover and made great strides in computers and created things are so playful.
Yep.
And I think that's so unique because then you come up with questions. And you get ideas and you go, I didn't think of that before, but I can do it this way. I mean, creative deals. This is why they have things called creative financing. You know, I mean, there are ways you can do it. So I think that that is what is missing. We lose our zest. And also, explore more. You know, go out and talk to people who are doing things that you have never done and find out. And listen, and you can incorporate it in so many areas.
What have you learned about real estate, investing in it, that you believe many of us do not know?
There are benefits to investing in real estate. Like I said, depending on how you put together your deals, and you can have this is long term. When you get into it, decide what you want to do. First, you might want to buy and sell in order to raise some money. And then the real richness of it is in holding. Yes. Holding real estate. Lots of those buildings that you see. I'm reading this book right now called The Art of Being Unreasonable. And this guy has created so many businesses, and that's one of them. He did a lot of home building companies and things of that nature. If you ever, I think he talked about Sunshine Real Estate was one of the companies that he created, KB and all of that. You hold because it grows in value. Look at some of those huge buildings we have up on Park Avenue. You know, this is why we call it old money. They come from somebody's great-grandfather. And this is something we have to learn. Holding on to some things for longevity and long term makes a lot of difference. And those are the things that we have to learn. Look, there's always going to be a risk. Fallon said it last night. The higher the risk, the higher the reward. Also, stop being afraid to fail. You can fall down and burst your head. Cry, bandage it, and try again. That's another problem we have. We're scared. Our friends are going to say, you failed, the business failed, the business didn't do right. Did your friend try?
Yeah.
Did your friend get that experience that you got? If I for one right now feel that if I lose everything that I have, I'll hurt. But guess what? My resilience, I will start to find a way to build it. Never stop trying.
Let me go to the chat room again. It's jumping tonight. Joy L said, good evening, great info. Patrick, what do you think impedes people in our community from investing in real estate?
Money. We think we need a lot of money. And again, there's so many. Okay, one of the things I'm going to say is that, and it's greatly needed in our community because my friends in the other community have done it. We have to invest in our community. We have to create funding organizations that help us make our first steps.
Yes.
So that, if I find, is what impedes people, and people don't know what they're doing. They feel like, I don't know what I'm doing. We need to have a community organization, a resource. We need resources in our community that people can come to and get advice. If you open the yellow pages, most other groups have 4, 5, 6 community organizations. We don't have any. If I was just telling Selwyn earlier, and I shared it with Sean and a couple others, the Polish Slavic Community Organization has just teamed up with the SBA to do promotions and help their small business in the Polish Slavic community. What happened to our community? Why can't we do the same? And I feel we also, just my humble opinion, that some of our elected officials who we're putting in because they come from the Caribbean need to do more for us. You know, because we're putting them for visibility. What are you bringing back to me? Hand wash hand, make hand come clean, right? So then you have to do something like that. So I believe we need the mentoring, we need community organizations, and we need investment in our community.
I agree. Chat room again. Denise A said Karen was on point with the NYC. Is tenant base. NYC landlords need to learn this real fast and act fast when they need to get rid of a tenant. Sean P, what are two of the biggest mistakes you find that our people make when getting into real estate? And let me just read one more. Denise A said, Patrick, good question. Think people think it's a mysterious process to invest when actually there is a lot of information available. So let's go to Sean P's question. What are the two biggest mistakes you find that our people make when getting into real estate?
We're unprepared. It's a business. Especially if you're going to have tenants. It's a business. I advise many of my friends, if you're going to have a 3-family house or whatever and you're going to have tenants, please do not go pick up the rent. You do not want to have that relationship. You should be able to walk in the building and they don't even know you own it. Get a company, a management company. Pay them what? 5-10%? Or 3%, however it works, depending on the going rate, to manage the building. They already have a pool of attorneys, people, contractors, everything. Anything goes wrong, they can take care of it. But it becomes official. After 10 days, if you don't give the rent, you get a late fee. Nobody can argue with you and curse you out and whatever. It's a business. So you establish a business relationship. So those are things that I feel that we don't understand. Also, I think that we don't research what we're doing and ask the relevant questions. And I think Sean P knows that too because we've dealt with that.
And Patrick said there is a lot of fear even when people have money. Just saying.
Yeah, there's a lot of fear because we're fearful of things we don't ask questions about. We don't research. There's so much information available. Okay. I was also sharing with Selwyn earlier. Yesterday I went to an orientation. There are 2 not-for-profit companies in New York that the Attorney General of New York has teamed up with to work with homeowners who are having problems financially. So I'm with one of the companies. They have so much. They had attorneys. They were telling us everything that was going on, how to deal with it. Reach out and ask a question. Ask me. Pop me an email. I'm always on Facebook saying to people, email me, reach me. Stop acting. We need to stop acting like we know. I'm the first one to stick my hand up in the air so many times and say, no, I don't understand that. Can you explain it to me? I have no problem in telling anyone I don't understand something. Ask. You never, if those who don't ask, don't get.
What can women, especially young women, do to prepare themselves for entrepreneurship?
There are lots of great programs around. The Black Enterprise has the Kidpreneur program.
Okay.
Rashima, who was just running for public advocate, she has a program called Women Who Code, Girls Who Code. And you can establish it in any part of the country, in any school. These are girls who want to get into technology. There are several programs even. A lot of the universities like Harvard and Cornell have lots of things for kids. We have got to turn that TV off. What I call the boob tube.
I agree. I totally agree with
Turn
that.
that TV off. Housewives of Atlanta, They signed a contract to make millions of dollars. What are you doing? You're watching them make that. You're helping them make it. Turn it off and put something into yourselves and the kids. That's all.
So, what do you say to those who say, well, this is my way of relieving stress?
How many hours of TV a day do you watch? If you can tell me every single reality show, I have a problem. All of us have stress. Me too. When I go to the gym, I run in the park. I go watch some live music. Most of the times, all these things I'm talking about are free. So you understand my point?
I do.
But they benefit my body, they benefit my mind.
How do you incorporate spirituality into your daily routine?
I'm very grateful.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly, and I always say it even when I'm home by myself and I'm working wherever I am. Sometimes I get things done and I go, oh my God, I'm so grateful about that. For me, it's always there with me, always present.
What keeps you going?
Knowing that there are people who have worse situations than me.
I like that.
Knowing that when I look at where we have come as a people who have gone through some battering as a race, I don't think I have anything to complain.
Where do you draw your inspiration, Karen?
Reading and looking at things that are beautiful. I love nature.
Mm-hmm.
I love listening to kids laugh.
Hey, I
Yes.
thought I was the okay.
When kids
I'm
are
gonna keep
playing,
quiet
they
on
start.
that.
I
I'm
live
gonna
next
keep
to a
quiet on that.
playground,
Yeah.
and when these kids are playing and laughing, I laugh.
I thought I was weird. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. I like people seeing people smile and kids laughing, listening to kids laugh. But this is not my show. About me, anyway. What story would your mother be telling about you today?
The girl who always thought she was boss.
You are a boss today, aren't you?
Not really.
Who among your childhood friends has made a lasting impact on you and why?
That's interesting. Wow. I haven't thought about that. You caught me right off guard with that.
A left hook to the eye.
Yeah, that's a big one. I'm not really sure I could say
All
because there's so many pieces of that.
Okay.
You know?
Let me see if I can try it another way. A little more fair. Who among your childhood friends would you say have inspired you when you were young? That sometimes when you look at your successes or you're experiencing your successes, you remember them.
Oh gosh, I've gone off on such a beaten path. I don't think I can name anybody.
Okay.
Because with me doing some of the things that I've done, none of my friends have really done it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. CB in the chat room said, very interesting and informative. We'll be checking you out on Facebook. And what is the hardest thing you've ever done?
Oh, I had to learn not to lose my temper because I had a very bad temper. And I had to took time for me to learn not to make people rattle my cage. And that was hard at first. I'm so much better.
Now you woosah, right?
I just laugh. It's a joke.
Yes. What are you most proud of?
I am proud that I never the fight that sits in me. The fight.
Tell us a
That's
little bit
it.
about that.
When you're very unsupported and not by people sometimes close to you,
Right.
there's a fierceness that develops.
Oh yes.
I live with that every day, and I'm grateful because if I didn't have that fight, I'd be just another girl, 6.
See, I say that all the time. That what some might consider as cruelty is really grace.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I want to use a metaphor. The rough stone is rough, but it sharpens the sword.
Right.
You know, so I like to I like to give thanks and be grateful for the challenges and for those who say I can't,
Yep.
and for those, as you say, who might not lend a helping hand or encourage you, right? And you know, you talk about community and what we must instill in our children and so on. And I think one of the things that's missing a lot is encouragement. You know, don't take it for granted that person knows that you like them, that you mean well, that you're encouraging them. Say it. It makes a difference when someone hears you say you're doing a good job or you can do this. It makes a difference, and we have to find ways and means of every time we open our mouths to say something that is positive. You know, I grew up hearing, you know, if you don't have anything good to say, be
Hush.
quiet, hush. But I think a lot of times that is frightening to many, and so they open their mouths and they say things that tear people down. We have to try and develop or get into some kind of a paradigm shift where we find it encouraging and to encourage people or and say something that's positive. I want to go back to you. I just needed to say that. DSACB said, Karen, where do you fall in the lane of 9 siblings?
Number 9, and loving it.
So do I.
Yes.
You're not. How old is the long one before you?
5 years older.
You no. We have that in common. Wow. Okay. All right. What project are you working on, if you're at liberty to say? No.
Right now, since I started working with, since I'm one of the brokers in this not-for-profit,
Yes.
I have to start working on some marketing to go out to churches and community organizations and just start getting people's attention and getting them to come out in the community. It doesn't matter which county.
Okay.
I just have to start getting visible information so that I can really start making an impact on people. So that's one thing I'm working on, and just the regular things. The regular things that are going on in real estate. I mean, it's just trying to juggle so many things because I have some of my investors who now have come back and want to unload things that they have bought.
Okay.
And just helping them get certain things in place. Like they may have a building in another state, and then they call me because they become so. I work with my investors in a particular way. I make them competent, warm enough that they can sometimes say, "Oh, here are my kids. Today is my wife's birthday," because that's the
Relationship.
type of environment and relationship I want to build. So I have this one guy who bought something from me and he never met me. He was in Florida and he
Wow.
bought something. And actually, it's funny how I met him face to face one day. I went into the neighborhood in Staten Island and I'm passing by looking at the spot and I'm going like, let me park my car. And I walked over and he turned around because he was with some workmen and I was like, VJ, and he goes, okay. I said, Karen. He was like, wow. VJ has now come back to me and asked me to help him with that same item again. Plus he has a place in Tampa. And he just sought me out again to say, I need help with it. So now I'm organizing another one of my colleagues out in Tampa to help him. So those are the little things.
You know, you talk a lot about collaboration. You have quite an extensive social graph on Facebook. You know, I mean, and elsewhere. Um, Facebook definitely reflects it by your number of friends. How can those of us in your social graph help or contribute? How can we do this? In what way?
I think we can all help each other
Mm-hmm.
because we all come to the table with different skills
Right.
and different emotional fingerprints and whatever else. I think what we have to do is find out where we want to be in a year,
Mm-hmm.
5 years from now, and see how we work that into each other's lives to be supportive. I belong to BNI, a BNI group in Midtown Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Everybody in there, we can only have one of each person's skill.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what we work as a team. And so that's how I view my friends, my alumni association, my every group. I just look at it as a team. I reach out to people. I said, "You know how to do this. Can you help me with this?" I ask for help. I don't have no time with that.
Yeah.
I don't know to do everything. I'm going to ask. I'm sorry. I'm not Wonder Woman.
In well, chat room, the SSCB say, well, I don't know if I'm going to say, well, anyway.
Go ahead.
And JFR, Karen, you rock. Rock in
Thanks,
all
girl.
caps. Rock in all caps.
Thanks,
and
Jen.
exclamation. And full. I will be reaching out to you. Thanks. And then Sean P said, Patrick, fear can stop you from taking action. Fear what happens if you do nothing with your potential. Do you research, step out and take action with each fall, get up and learn from it? Denise A said, yes, our social media network can be extremely helpful to us. But social media is something where the negative people you both mentioned thrive and breed. You want to take that?
Okay, the negative people. We've got to learn to cultivate them too.
I agree.
They're negative for a reason.
I agree.
Sometimes people, it's a wall.
Mhm.
It's a shell. They're just there to taunt and until one day the shell falls off, it cracks, and you get the real person. Like I usually say, will the real person please stand up?
Yeah.
Don't even give them a hearing in that sense. After they realize they don't have an audience, what are they gonna do? Please, like a stand-up comic, but
I look at it as sometimes they are there as our friction. You know, without friction, there's no movement. They are there as builders. They are there to sharpen us. They are there to make us strong. It all depends on your perspective on them. I personally have a tendency. As a matter of fact, my best friend says is a tenacity I have for doing things outside the norm, because I do not subscribe to any particular group. I went to school with a lot of my friends. I love them a lot of them. I still, connect with them from time to time. But I am not motivated by what they think about what I do or don't do. And I think that has freed me to do whatever I want to do. If I want to write something about love, I write it. If I want to write about whatever. If I want to start a show, which I have, I do it. And so I have a lot of freedom in that regard, because the group does not dictate what I do. And I think that's one of the reasons why I never smoked or drank, because I never suffer from social pressure. But again, this is not about me. I just wanted to respond to Denise to say that you don't have to let them get to you. Right.
There are a couple of things. Two things I want to just mention quickly. Don't waste time with nonsense. That's the first thing you have to understand. Time goes by too fast. And something I learned from my father's death, because it happened so fast. Say how you care and who you really care about. Don't wait. So if you really care about something or someone, express it. Even if they scoff at you, that's their issue. Remember, what people have to say about you is their business. Don't mind it.
Denise said again, negative people are there, hanging on the sidelines, not jumping in the game. That is true.
Who
See them as
cares?
that, not jumping in the game. And who cares? You're right. And Sean P said, laser focused K. You know,
But Sean, you're my partner.
you are.
Yeah, Sean, my friend Sean. He's from Barbados, and
Really?
yeah, I encourage my other friends from other places to listen in because we talk about various things all the time, and these are some of the things that we talk about and give reference to, and I think it's key that you stay focused because otherwise, that's why I said the boob tube.
Right. Focus is very important. Very, very important.
Yeah.
The distractions will come. As a matter of fact, it is part of life.
Right.
The distractions help you to focus.
Yeah.
Use it as a tool to stay focused. Sean P said, don't see them. That's good advice. You know, I always marvel at how time creeps up on this show. Right? It's past closing time. So I have to ask you the question I ask all my listeners, and you know the question. What makes you laugh out loud?
Just being myself and having a good old fun time. I work hard. Playing hard makes me laugh.
Playing hard. And I'm not going to let you get away without asking you to take us out with some words of inspiration.
Do
Something-
what's important in your life.
And pushing me. And, you know, I thank you for this. CWS, thank you for this.
You're welcome.
Let me go to the chat room quickly. Denise, Heather said, great conversation, Karen and Selwyn. Thank you. You're welcome, Heather. And Denise W said, enjoy the chat.
Good.
So, is there anything you want to say before we close off?
Yeah, we should talk next time. We need to talk a little bit more about certain steps in real estate. And also, something else I think it's important is everybody wants to get into certain businesses like entertainment. They need to know more about it. Talent is overrated. Learn the business.
Well, you know, on that note, this is what I'm going to say. The next time you come back, which is probably before the end of the year, since we have done the biographical stuff, we're going to go straight into these topics.
Okay, cool.
Right? Promise.
Promise.
Thank you. Denise said, great job. First time tuning in. We'll be back. Thank you, Denise. And Denise said again, can you touch on commercial real estate
Next time.
next time? Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Suffer the little children to come unto me. Every day, more than 30,000 children around the world die of preventable diseases. More than 300,000 children are being used in war as child soldiers. Lord have mercy. A child should be loved. A child should be held. A child should be clean. A child shouldn't smell. A child shouldn't go to bed hungry at night. A child should be taught wrong from right. A child should learn to say thanks and please. A child shouldn't suffer from preventable disease. A child is a fruit that shouldn't be picked before it's time. To do that to a child should be classified a crime. Oh, who speaks for the children?